is Bergen. For many people in my generation, I think this city will always be linked with one of the greatest Norwegian composer, Edvard Grieg.
When I was young, my parents often entertained me with a record player. One of my fondest memories is listening to Solveig's song while dancing as gracefully as I could. I was enchanted by its smoothing melody and did my best to follow the high and delicate notes, pretending I was a grand diva. Over time, the LP disc became increasingly scratched and strange. Crackling sounds would emerge in the middle of the music. When I tried to sing along, I followed the melody by shaping soft O sounds, even when the notes just fell out of reach. Somehow, those scratches and imperfections gave the song a sense of age and character, making it even more evocative and alive.
This is my fantastic music buddy, Edvard. And Edvard Grieg is also known for the rest of the world. And why do you think he's so great? Or why do you think he's so famous? Or why do you think people like to listen about him? I don't know. But I think I have a clue why I like to listen to his music.
Edvard Grieg drew deeply on Norwegian folk music throughout his life, inspired by the wide variety of regional traditions shaped by the country's geography and history. During his youth, Norway was in union with Denmark, and many coastal communities were isolated, allowing distinct musical and dance styles to develop independently. This diversity made Norwegian folk culture especially rich, with difference in expression, especially the use of similar instruments. Folklore also played an important role, with trolls and other mythical beings reflecting local imagination and the realities of survival. Although these elements make Norwegian folk music difficult to define as a single style, but they strongly influence Grieg's unique musical voice.
I think there's a reason why I feel such a palpable connection with Grieg's music since I was a very, very young girl. I think an obvious reason is his music depicts the spirit of transformation, the spirit of independence, and most importantly, the frustration of searching for an identity which will define not only who you are, but who you want to be in the faraway future.
Edvard Grieg received thorough musical training in Leipzig, Germany, at a time when the Danish composer Niels Gade helped shape a Scandinavian musical style rooted in German Romantic traditions. Although this path offered recognition from established teachers and connoisseurs, Grieg chose instead to turn his attention towards authentic Norwegian folk music. He drew inspiration from songs sung by everyday life, during dances, moments of courtship, or after long and demanding days at sea, seeking a more genuine and precise expression of specific experiences and personal moods.
Who were the Norwegians before the turn of the 19th century towards the 20th? They want to hark back to the Roman Empire as if they want to be a representative of the high culture in Europe, but at the same time there is such a palpable voice within Grieg's music shouting out from the world saying, we're Norwegians. We have our own culture, we have our own trolls, we have our own landscape, and we have our own voice.
I have a feeling that Grieg wanted to capture a distinctly Norwegian spirit, shaped by a long history of seafaring and exploration, with roots reaching back to the Viking Age. Norse Vikings traveled widely across Europe and beyond, encountering new lands and cultures. Rather than looking back to the classical Greco-Roman tradition, Grieg's musical vision of Norway is filled with vivid emotions: joy, weariness, excitement, anxiety, and even fear, alongside a deep urge to explore. His music often evokes a sense of a young nation searching for its own identity and striving to discover its place in the world.
Look at this. This is the most grand birdcage I have seen. It looks basically like a castle. So the obvious question is how to define a good life? A good life in such a grand cathedral, such a grand palace with the most delicious food every day, or a free life. To be able to take a ferry or sailing boat to discover the world in your own term. I think that is the kind of questions which Grieg's music battled with again and again. And
nationalistic sentiment spread across many European countries in the second half of the 19th century. In Norway, there was a strong desire to shape a shared image of national identity as the country moved towards independence. Although Danish remained the primary written language, writers such as Henrik Ibsen sought to infuse it with distinctly Norwegian themes and perspectives. This raised an important question: how could one create a musical and culture expression that evoke a sense of home and belonging without slipping into narrow or exclusionary nationalism? Should Norway define itself in contrast to others, or as part of a broader European culture, building on shared achievements? While exploration and national accomplishments could inspire pride, they did not fully address the feelings of displacement experienced by many Norwegians moving from rural areas to growing cities. The greatness of Grieg's music lies in his ability to capture this tension and transitions, expressing both a longing for rootedness and an openness to the wider world.
Grieg's music was my best company when I was under the weather, when I felt the world is against me, when I start to pondering upon why the evil forces could defeat the good wills. I think the connection between his melody and the anxiety which I from time to time are terrorized with is obvious. He could actually use his music to express the feeling of confusion better than any words which I possess to articulate the inner self which often hide deep down in my heart.
Every composer creates special works for the people they love. To celebrate his and Nina Grieg's 25th wedding anniversary, Edvard Grieg composed the piano piece Wedding Day at Trollhagen. This title refers to his home, Trollhagen, literally the hill of trolls, and the music is one of his most joyful and affectionate portrayal of married life. Edvard Grieg and Nina shared both hardships and happiness throughout their lives, and this piece reflects that warmth and vitality. When I first heard it as a child, I imagined it as the perfect soundtrack for an animated story, full of lively, mischievous creatures chasing one another and playfully stirring up troubles.
I think Grieg's music is universal. I think Grieg's music is unique. The only reason is there isn't a right way to play Grieg's music. Grieg's music is about individuality. I haven't heard two identical versions of the same music. Why? Because his music glorifies troll. None of us has seen the real face of a troll. I think the greatness of his music is he glorifies self-reflection. He glorifies independence.
In Old North, trolls embody elements of pre-Christian belief. They represent the other, dangerous, unpredictable, and powerful beings not easily overcome by natural forces. In Grieg's time, mountain trolls in particular came to symbolize misunderstood, grumpy anti-heroes, often viewed through the lenses of conservative, devout Christian communities. Such perceptions were shaped by prejudice and limited understanding. Many influenced by sermons and traditions focused on the troll's fearsome appearance and reputation without recognizing their more playful and mischievous side in folklore. In this way, trolls can also be seen as reflecting aspects of Norwegian psyche, complex, multi-faced, and often misunderstood.
Which voice do they want to use to represent a Norway which was about to become an independent nation, to have its own influence on the world? I think the music which Grieg created around 1890 was probably the sound which strikes a chord in my heart. I was long ago wondering who I am through the change of globalization, through the change of my own career progression, and also through the change of conflict between the East and the West.
Throughout my life, I have experienced both deep crisis and great joy. As expected, each time I hit rock bottom, my personal views and perceptions have shifted. Grieg's music has often been my best companion in both the lowest and the highest moments. I am particularly moved by how he portrays the Norwegian landscape he loved, with all its many contrasting faces appearing within a single composition. What first sounds threatening can later feel funny or even ironic, depending on my state of mind or the context in which I listen. This multifaceted nature of his music constantly reminds me of the importance of viewing difficult experiences from multiple angles before drawing conclusions. I see this as a vital part of my personal growth.